Hey everybody, what's going on? All right, let's see. I've been formulating my thoughts on the past 2 weeks, putting things into perspective. It is April 29th as I am recording this 2013. And effectively, I want to talk about the events uh, of April 15th and through the week for a moment. Now, everybody's stressing on this, so I am going to be saying things that are going to be non-repetitive in a sense about the events going on and just saying what I think is important and just what hasn't been said. Um, so we've got this sad situation of really a complete God. I'm doing this from a very honest place, just to let you know. It's completely off the cuff. This is straight from the heart, so it is what it is. It's just the truth of the martial law situation is really much more important than the bombing itself. That's not to mention the fact that the bombing itself was a complete psyop, a couple of patsies, and everybody knows that what they did to reconcile the manhunt for these two Chechens was not necessary in the least. And people just allowed it to happen. They were probably scared, I guess. And, that's the way tyranny wants it. That's the way government wants it. They want you to be scared of them. They need things to go smooth, to go easy. And then in the process, it gives them what they need. And what did they need? They needed a live exercise of general martial law. The men and women that participated in your little military parade are, probably people that have been doing this in fake drills on DHS training grounds somewhere with mock-up suburban neighborhoods, etc., etc. And then this was it. They chose one of the most liberal cities in the country, one of the most one of the youngest cities in the country. Boston being a college town. College kids don't run around with guns. College kids don't run around being, independent men. College kids run around drinking beer, smoking pot, and playing video games. College in this country is a huge preschool, and this had nothing to do with anybody's safety, and it seemed to be accepted. Is there anybody from Boston that didn't like what happened outside of a couple of people that were filming what happened that said that they couldn't believe it was happening? Is there anybody making comments out there, making a blog like me, commenting on the problem that they have with what they saw and what happened to them? Maybe they can't do that. Maybe they're scared. I don't know. But now these people that have done this, they are the ones with the experience. They will be in the future leadership roles because they've gone through it once before, and then they move on to the next city that it'll happen, and they do it. They've already done it, I think, again in California over a manhunt. They're going to use the manhunt, it seems. Manhunt for a man who stabbed a girl to death or something like that, or shot her to death, some young girl, and so they did a lockdown. Sunnyvale. I can't remember the name of the town. There's online articles about it, and You know, it's interesting that these things are being done in liberal places. You know, California, Massachusetts. Um, I guess they need to do it in those places because all of this has DHS, FBI written all over it, thus reflects on Washington, thus reflects on the president. Um, they're going to wait until they've gotten it done well enough in the North, in the blue states, before they figure out initializing it in the red states. What are they going to do? Is it going to be, are they going to wait for the next election with a new face, possibly a red face, to start doing this in the South? Probably not. They probably have to move really fast, especially because the Boston Massacre's obvious forgery has become very plain on its face to most average Americans, and the whole world obviously sees it for what it is, because the whole world sometimes feels like it's a lot smarter than us. And the whole world sometimes often mourns for this, you know, because people like me, we have this voice that gets out there in the world that they hear, and it's this interesting voice that talks about freedom in a way that other places don't. We have this legacy of the Founding Fathers. We have this Constitution thing that we talk about. We have this history and this culture that they just don't have. Some want it. I don't know how much of a majority do want it. I mean, like, things are... Russia is a more free country than us. The Russians... maybe I need to move to Russia. Maybe I need to, like, you know, grow a pair, deal with the cold, and just live in Siberia. Because over there, they don't tolerate that Gestapo shit no more. They dealt with that their entire lives. We're just dealing with it now, you know? I mean, America had Gestapo, NSA, CIA stuff forever, but that was so small and only on extremely targeted individuals. But now it's gone to the broad brush category. You know, ever since 9/11, law enforcement had gone into general paranoias about, oh, Arabs and even Hindus. Well, that was more the general people, like, but they would look at somebody wearing a turban and they assume all turbans are a Muslim thing, you know, because they have no understanding of the of Hindus and Indians and things like that. And just our ignorance. So, what's my point? My point is that we really have to focus on the acceleration of not just talking about the fake of these kinds of incidences that happen, but also just talking about stopping their desired result out of it, the problem, reaction, solution principle. You know, because I don't know what's next. You know, I live close to New York City. I live in the shadow of another metropolitan area. Myself, something which, like Watertown, would be a suburb that has the potentiality of being a target for something for various reasons. So I don't like that because I can see it happening to me, and it makes your mind run its course about what you are going to do when that happens. And, you know, that's certainly running through the blood of every patriot that saw that right now. You know, because, you know, there's going to be a divided opinion. Some people are going to say, look, they were just looking for those guys who was in and out, which probably that was not it. Well, we know it wasn't it because we know they were just patsies. But the reality is that using them as an excuse to just rummage through your shit effectively. Oh, look at these illegal guns that you have. Oh, look at these illegal drugs that you have. You know, all that stuff so they can snag you on the legalities. Because the moral decay of our society doesn't come from sex on television. It's not coming from violent video games. It's coming from our government defining legality as morality. If you are all legal, you are moral, and thus you are fine. Lawfulness does not matter anymore. Doesn't matter in the least. You can be as unlawful as you want, as long as you do not embarrass the government. As long as you do not embarrass the court and the police, and that's really it for them. That's all they really care about, is just moving forward in whichever way they see fit. They're very scared of a form of revolution happening. And at the end of the day, as long as this concept of our democracy is still going, as long as they don't suspend somebody's voting rights or a place's in general voting rights when it comes around to it, they can say, well, listen, man, these people were elected, and that's what they want, and democracy's never wrong. Oh God, it's sickening, and when the wrong does come, because they'll use it for political reasons, like the way the left bitches about the right and the right bitches about the left, they never bring up the rule of law, really. The legality thing, one thing, but the lawfulness thing is another. It's horrid, and they act like there's no evidence of a crime amongst what these people are doing. It's sick. I mean, what do the judges of Boston think about this? I know that a lot of judges are just shills of the Bar Association, and they're all looking for their corporate cut. But I mean, what do they really? Not all of them are bad. Not all of them are bad. But they're all in the positions that they're in, and they have to make compromises. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. This is what I think. I think if it happens to me, I think that my camera needs to be rolling, so everything is seen and heard when the jackboot thugs knock at my door. I think that I may not want to be in my house, regardless of the orders. I think I may want to be disobedient. I think I may want to be on my front lawn, on my property. Either me holding the camera or somebody else holding the camera. If somebody else is holding the camera, preferably, no matter what, somebody else holding the camera, I may want to be armed. I may want to be armed. With a loaded weapon, a real weapon for self-defense. And when they approach, I'm going to have to go through the same motions and behave in a lawful way and make the demands that need to be made. I need to see your identification. I see your badge. I also need to see your license as an officer, and I need to see your business card. I need to see your face as well so I can match your identity. This is my dwelling. It is my responsibility to keep this property safe. You are not welcome here. You are threatening my life. You're brandishing a weapon on my property. I'm not going to ever point the weapon at them because that is suicide. But I may hold it in my hand with my finger near the trigger. I might. Maybe it'll just be strapped to my shoulder. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. It depends on how things go down. One way or the other, I will not draw first blood. That I promise. I would not want to. But I would want it to be seen on camera that I do not draw first blood. Odds are, I will die where I stand. But more oddly, more likely the odds, that is, that I will get tased and or tackled to the ground. But the most important thing is you have to declare your intentions, especially if they see you there brandishing your weapon under a special state of emergency where already the Constitution is suspended as per what they think, as per the executive order, which is an unlawful order. Get legal out of your head. Legal's a fiction. Do not invoke legal. Do not humor legal. What is lawful? And guess what? What is lawful are the things that have not changed for thousands of years. Lawful is nothing more than who gets hurt. Where's the damaged party? Who's the victim? The state is not an entity that can declare itself a victim. A corporation is not an entity that can declare itself a victim. Anything that is in the intangible is not allowed to call itself a victim, because our law system is for the flesh and the blood, and for what is claimed by the flesh and the blood, if you understand what I mean. It's part of effectively an unspoken contract amongst all men, all people. At the end of the day, it needs to be public. I need to be on the street. I need to be in front of everybody. I need to be in a loud and boisterous voice. I need to show everybody else how it is done. And I have to accept the consequences of that, and what could ultimately change my life forever. It will change my life forever. I don't see myself walking away from that at all. And I am preparing to make peace with myself for that. The statement I make and I say to you that in protection of my character, this has nothing to do with ideologies, radicalization. It is just about pure and simple human dignity, standing up for what is right, acting upon my rights by no other authority than by God's, whomever you want to call God, the creator, if you will. And not because the Constitution says creator, but just because of the principle behind why the Constitution says it. At this point, I'm shredding the Constitution from my mind as much as I'm shredding all ideologies from my mind. This is just about me and my family and what's really happening up here and in here. I know I've been talking slow and been milking the time, but I felt that the tone and pace of my voice is appropriate and necessary. I'm thankful for all of you that have been listening, and I hope and pray that you find your own inner strength to action and to understand that many voices will tell you this is not the way. And I will say this much to you. What I'm proposing is not violent, and it has nothing to do with raising an arm against these people. It would be foolish to do so. But the statement must be made. Why must it be made? I think ultimately it is important that there's an image that can get out on the internet that they are afraid of, and that may hold back the tide. The last thing they want to see, the last thing they want to show the nation is a young person compassionate about true freedom, standing up for his rights, using his First Amendment, using his Second Amendment, using his Third and his Fourth Amendment. With those four things, the rest doesn't work. Nothing else works because everything else moves into our justice system. Everything else moves into the higher forms of our social structure. But those first four are very much about the individual and the family, are very much very human, very real things. And you have to be stronger and above that. And the most important thing is that you cannot raise up in anger. In fact, you need to actually not get angry, because your anger will threaten them. And you're threatening them enough just by showing them you have the means to defend yourself. Know your rights. Know how you have to talk to these people. Know that they're not your boss. And just because they want to come in with their jackbooted thugs does not mean, just because they brandish the authority of the government, that they should be doing so. I love you all. Namaste and Lakesh.